Wow. I just love my brothers and sisters and all my siblings. That's wonderful. Every once in a while, we get to have a guest speaker, and as part of the CSL tradition, we're not just one faith, we're not just one tradition, we're an amalgamation of the salad bowl of different people coming in and different beliefs. And so it is a thrill for me to introduce our speaker for today, Rabbi Rachel Shorter.
I appreciated that he lowered the mic dramatically shorter. That was a good one. How fitting is it that I'm the first weekend after the mask ban has been lifted? I could not be more stoked on that one. And I want to make something abundantly clear about all the things I've said in here about the masks and whatnot. Not being political in any capacity, but looking at it from a factual standpoint. When I was a little kid, if you saw someone wearing a mask in public, you thought they were going to rob a bank. Like, genuinely. And I think about the way my child has now grown up with this being somewhat normalized. And I was talking to my friend who's a speech pathologist the other day, and she said that she's seeing more and more children with speech issues than ever before because reading lips is such a big part of learning to speak. So I feel like we're coming through another exodus, right? Like we're coming out of this place and we're shifting back into smiling faces and love and a different perspective. And I'm happy to be here with all of you. Thanks for having me. And my theme is play. I'm like, okay, that's a good one. I'll go with that. Play and so happy together. And Rev Bev had asked me for a little something for the email that was sent out. And I was thinking about the idea of play and joy and the word enjoy and how it literally breaks down into being in joy. That it's a space we have to come into within ourselves in order to obtain. And the craziest thing to me is when you talk about play to a room full of people over the age of 30, everybody gets somewhat uncomfortable, right? Like it's kind of a weird topic unless it's something you do. I don't know where we stopped thinking we were worthy of play and that life isn't play. I mean, I'm sorry, if you look at the stuff that's happening in the world around us, there's clearly something bigger than us just creating a bunch of commotion and watching up like we all watch on Netflix. And maybe it's just easier to accept that we're all part of this cosmic play. And we can choose if we want to bring joy to every moment or fear to every moment. And the world can be a dark place or it can be a light place. It's our choice how we play with it, right? I think about when I was becoming a healer and going through my whole transition to whatever it is I am now. I am whatever. One of my mentors said to me, Rachel, when you're doing this work, it's not work. There's nothing work about it. You enjoy it. You enjoy sitting there listening to people talk to you about their problems. You enjoy giving Reiki treatments. You enjoy officiating weddings and funerals and being there for all people in all parts of it. It's not work, it's play. It's joy. If what you do brings you joy, then no part of it is work. And maybe that's the secret to it all, is just to shift our perspective on it, right? That it isn't work, it's play. Because I gotta tell you, my daughter has a little kitchen set, right? And she has all these little toys. She's almost 3.5 now. And everything she does, she calls a job. I'm doing this job right now. And if her and a friend are playing at the beach, I'm doing this job with this shovel right now. Wait your turn, right? And no clue where she gets that from. But the idea that in her mind it is a job, it's work. But she's clearly having fun, right? She's clearly enjoying making matzo ball soup in her play kitchen with a bunch of fake stuff. But her mental perspective about it is totally different. And to me, I think that's what play is. No matter what age we are, we have to shift into the energy of joy and approach what we're doing with a lighthearted, fun-filled attitude, right? I mean, look, we're all standing up, dancing and singing and in a place. I get to stand up here and talk to you guys, which I find joy in as the little girl who stood on her parents' fireplace and everybody, line up, sit down here, sit down here, sit down here. Perfect. I'm going to perform for all of you. Thank you. All eyes on me. Now I'm done. And look, I get to do that now. I get to wake up on a Sunday morning and be like, you sit here, you sit here, you sit here. And the inner girl inside of me just loves it. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate the attention. But isn't that proof that we're born into this realm knowing innately what we're good at and what brings us joy? And maybe that's the path, is finding your way to what brings you joy. So when you're doing whatever it is that brings you joy, you bring joy to other people. Isn't that maybe the secret to it all? Yeah, that all this darkness and heaviness, and if you knew everything that was going on in my life right now, it'd be so easy to get stuck in this place of fear. It really, really would. It genuinely would. I've told you guys before, I sit in my office alone sometimes and I'm genuinely scared. There was just 3 bomb threats at a synagogues this week on the mainland. We didn't hear anything about it, but that happened. But am I going to stay in that fear? Absolutely not, because what's going to come of it? Now I'm giving away my joy. Now I'm choosing to give away what makes me happy. And why should we be accepted to sacrifice our own joy, our own happiness, anytime ever? I think we're all just a bunch of little kids, no matter what age, figuring out how to be human the best we can, right? No one gives you a book when you come into this world and says, here's how to be a human, figure it out. No, we're all figuring it out. And we're all just a bunch of beings who want play. Eckhart Tolle talks about the joy of being, the joy that's found in merely being alive. And that's what we were each put here to do, be ourselves, in whatever capacity that comes. And when you find that place, that connection to source, whatever it is that brings you joy, and you do what it is that brings you joy, you're being in that joy. The fact we're all sitting here right now, breathing, is a miracle. Genuinely. That's a miracle in itself. We don't need to get caught up in big miracles. There are small miracles, but every miracle is a miracle that counts. Waking up this morning is a miracle. There's a lot of people who didn't. And when we can find joy in that, simply being here now, in a room full of smiling faces, surrounded in love, everything's easy. We can choose whether or not we want it to be work or play. We can choose whether or not we want to be or do. And I think that being can be the doing. I even think that, I was thinking about how the word enjoy. I believe in the power of our word very much, right? I think that when we speak, we're literally casting spells, and that's why they call it spelling, right? And that was Moses' secret. There you go. But think about it genuinely. Boop. I'm writing it down, I'm making it happen, abracadabra, and so it is. Abracadabra is actually, I think I've told you guys this before, an Aramaic word that means I create as I speak. So that's actually something to that, right? This isn't the idea of a magician just casting spells. We, each of us, every time we speak, create with our words. This is what Moses did. This is what our ancestors did. And I think about the word enjoy. When we come in joy, what spell are we casting? Right? I'm going into joy, you're going into joy. The joy comes to everyone, and then isn't that what creates joy and peace on earth that we all talk about and sing about and so happy together? And this is the last time I'm going to speak to you guys before the next big Jewish holiday, which is Passover, right? I talk about the Exodus. You guys have heard me talk about this a lot. And we're obviously coming out of the 11th plague now as a collective, beginning a whole new Exodus. I hope we don't wander for 40 years, but we might. We'll see. But I think about bringing even that play to something like that. When we retell the story of Passover, which is actually a pretty dark story. Like, we were slaves building pyramids in Egypt. Pharaoh chased us down with a bunch of, like, it's war, right? We're talking about war. But do you know how we commemorate Passover every year? We're commanded to have a Seder, which the word Seder means order. So it's a meal and a service where we're retelling the story of Exodus in a certain order. You're commanded to refill your wine cup 4 times. Hey, joy. You're commanded to eat. You're commanded to put a pillow behind you and recline back. And even as we're telling one of the darkest stories in the Torah, one of the darkest times that our ancestors went through, they literally fled persecution and slavery and then wandered for 40 years. And we celebrate by leaning back and getting drunk. Clearly, joy is what breeds resilience. Finding joy in things that can be dark. Finding the light where it seems like there is none. And to me, that's pure surrender. Pure connection with Source. When you let go and you're like, all right, you've got this. I don't need to worry about it anymore. I can be happy. And if I know that I'm in the place of joy and I'm playing, then I'm making whatever it is happy. Because I don't believe that whatever it is that's bigger than us, God, Spirit, Keakua, the universe, the divine, Shekinah, all these names we have for whatever it is that can't be named. We will never be able to name it, no matter how hard we try. All I know is that what that is wants us to be happy. If we are all made in God's image, who wants their child to feel anything other than joy? If you think about the love of a parent for their child, I think about myself as a mother, the love of my child. I will do anything to have her be happy and safe. So if we are all God's children, and we've been told that over and over and over again, we have to find some sort of peace in the knowing that something out there wants us to be happy and safe, no matter what's going on in this earthly realm. That is our birthright. That is the divine plan. So as we shift through the time and seasons, right? We come out of this 11th plague, we begin another Exodus. We figure out how to human again, right? Because we're all different. There's no way to get around that. Our world has changed in such a different way. But we've always grown, right? Even when Moses was taking the Jews out of slavery, do you know that there were so many of them that still fought him and wanted to go back? That wanted to go back to Pharaoh? Because often, if we've been in slavery or abuse or darkness for so long, we start to mistake that with joy. If that's all we've ever known, that becomes our comfort. So we're all here to learn the truth of joy. That is love and connection and oneness consciousness. And even if that's not how you were taught what joy or love is as a child, or even as an adult, or even in this moment, you can choose to make a conscious choice, to know that you are worthy of joy, to know whatever it is that is flowing through you right now, giving you your life, giving you your breath, wants you here for a reason. Otherwise you wouldn't be here, sorry, just like logically. But wants you to be happy, wants you to enjoy life, wants you to play without the guilt or the shame or the menacing voice that came in later in life telling you that you needed to do something else. You are meant to be in a play kitchen making matzo ball soup. I look at my life sometimes and I'm like, I put surfing on my schedule, I put work on my schedule, I put my daughter on my schedule, but my surf time is like my play time, right? And I look at my life and I'm like, how did I get so lucky? I feel like I literally wake up every day and I get to play all day. Even when I'm working, even when I'm being there and serving others, I find such joy in it, it's almost selfish. Sometimes it feels bad to do so much good for other people because it feels so good. right? It's almost like, oh no, this makes me feel so good. Should I not do it? No, you definitely should do that because it brings you joy. So if giving and service and play brings us joy, in this moment here now, I see all these smiling faces looking back at me, and I know that there's no accidents that I got to talk about play and joy today. As I look at this, the joy's coming back, right? They don't want to say that on the news. They don't want to say that in the media. The world does have stuff going on. I'm not going to stray away from that. But just like Danica was talking about, when we find joy in here and we radiate that joy, it impacts that. Because we are all connected. We are all living, breathing, exchanging the same air again. And that breath we're exchanging is the very same breath that Moses breathed, that Joan of Arc breathed, that Jesus breathed. Every great spiritual master, the Buddha, who came before, was given the breath that you're being given now. You breathe in that same air. And now we're safe to take a big breath again and let joy in. And know that that's all there is. We cast the spell to enjoy play. Enjoy. So I've got a little something to share with y'all. I'm the rapping rabbi. I guess I'm getting a Big Island Music Award tonight for a thing. I'm really excited. I know. I never thought I'd be getting a music award. I'm like, what? See, life is crazy, guys. When you just give it up and are like, you know what? Trying to figure you out is too much work. I'm just going to let you do it all. It gets so much easier and so much more fun. And it sounds crazy because it's like, oh, okay, well, that's easy for you to just say, just give it all up. It's like, no, but really it is that easy. It's almost more work to try and control things, to understand. The knowing of knowing nothing is the best knowing of it all. Okay. Here we go. I'm just on one today, guys. Sorry. Okay. For some reason, here today, we sometimes forget we are worthy of play. God wants us to know that when we play, in the present moment, we must stay. Play is rainbows, a shift from gray, and helps keep evil forces at bay. I saw a sign the other day. It said, life is cray, but God is the way. For in this time our moral fabric does fray. I've said it before, and here again I do say. We were put here for a reason, come what may. Our ancestors' debt, I believe we do pay. But I also believe their power with us does stay, and we are supported, come what may. Joy in being, for in the ground we don't lay. We are the ones, and with joy we slay. And if it doesn't bring joy, just stay away. It is your choice to say yay or nay. Play to me means surrender, when you just toss it all into life's splendor. Aware of what is tender, that you are your own best defender. This can't be avoided, so forget the next bender. You are the borrower, the divine is the lender. In this body, you are the vendor, being called now to always remember. We receive many messages from only one sender. We can't get caught up in earthly nonsense like gender. When we were chosen to be the menders, one divine image, I believe we render. I watch my daughter complete a task, in her heart, not concerned about a mask, with the fiercest knowing that anything she can grasp, and in that joy she does bask. Play is the most righteous form of love, one with what is below and above. When we soar freely, just like the dove, we know there's no need to push or shove. Time to take off our masks and put down our gloves. I believe any action done with joy will ignite the inner little girl or boy. who knows that life is just a toy, a game to play. There is no ploy, no need for labels like Jew or Goy, surrender and presence, no decoy. I feel like this topic is actually kind of hard, for many of us have been scarred. From the joy of being, it seems we were barred. At a young age, we were dealt bad cards. Our hearts fragile like glass, cut into shards. Our inner fire burned and was way overcharred. We must know now that we are starred. We too are worthy of just playing in the yard. There can be so much chaos, drama, and commotion, but play seems to be the divine magic potion, covering you always like a divine lotion, reminding you joy is more than a notion. We just need to see all that's flowing in motion. Play is the equation, joy is the quotient. I know there's a being inside of you that just wants to play because it's in me too, who also know there's big things we were put here to do, and that I was chosen with no one in lieu. And it's up to me what I hold on to, and when I bring joy, it always seems like I grew. On this last full moon, this was the card that I drew. Though I've pulled it before, this time it felt new. Life has felt heavy. I'm scared to be a Jew. I'm scared for my safety, and I'm scared for my crew. But I find joy in what I do. So in this fear, I will not stew. Because I know I'm supported, the other will rue. For when it seems like joy is far and few, I know it's time to ignite that rainbow hue. We all deserve play like the kid at the zoo. Is there a way we can play without our phones? Reconnect to the land, the sea, and the stones. Find presence in being, in joy we hone. We can play well with others, or we can play alone. We are all spirit, in bodies on loan. When we're in joy, we enter the zone. I believe play brings us back home. We find our voice in all keys and tones. Just like a child, we can whine and moan, but when we get into play mode, in joy we are known. Don't get caught up, the cover's been blown, so we may as well play. Shaloha, shalom. Thank you, everybody. Thank you all. Thank you, thank you.
Wow. Yeah, let's give him another. I love that shaloha. Yeah.